We were tracking the herd's trail, trying to estimate their numbers and map out a solid battle plan. The hunting season hadn't officially begun, but for us, preparation is everything. Then, out of nowhere, a dark shadow charged, slamming straight into Chris, who was leading the team. He went down injured, and there was no way we could just stand by. The hunt had started earlier than we ever expected. Kevin would see Chris safely back to the village, while the rest of us pressed on. This time, it wouldn't be instinct and experience alone. We were bringing modern technology into the wilderness. Every move, every step forward would be guided not only by skill and gut, but also by reason and precision. For our injured friend, and for the peace of the villages depending on us. We went back along the path where Chris had been hit, determined not to give that savage animal a second chance. Blood debt must be paid in blood. I swept the area with careful steps. One wrong sound and the hogs would catch wind and bolt. Then that noise again, the familiar snuffle as it rooted in the dirt. I locked onto the target. I held my breath. All right, now, I squeezed the trigger. The round tore through and struck the boar's vital spot. It dropped on the spot. A clean opening like that breathed fresh life into today's fight. We moved fast, following the boar's trail, sure they had to be close. We picked our way along the paved road, scanning and hunting as we went, fingers tight on our triggers. Then, a large dark shape burst from the underbrush. I zeroed in, eyes locked on the target. Immediate action. Boom! The boar dropped on the spot. While I was locked on that one, the rest of the herd showed up. Gunfire sent them into a panic, and they scattered, but our whole team opened up. Shots rang out, and one by one, several of them went down. It was a textbook bit of teamwork, and it worked. Who says hunters are lone wolves? We've always got each other's backs. And that's where our real power comes from. Anticipating the herd's route, John stayed locked in, razor focused. The hound's barks told him the prey was near. In a perfect, ready shooting stance, John waited, primed for the moment the animal showed itself. A sharp, decisive shot cracked, adding another trophy to our team's tally for the day. On this run, we vowed not to spare those who'd wounded our comrades, but boldly rooted up and destroyed the fields of our homeland. This stretch of road looks calm, but it's actually loaded with hidden dangers. Boars can ambush you at any moment. Scared? Walking forward without knowing what's waiting ahead, that's the real fear. To hunters like us, that fear doesn't exist. My hounds had already pinned down a target. There it was! Looks like today's hunt is paying off. I didn't hesitate and fired. A headshot. Couldn't have been more precise. Left the animal with no way out. Just when we thought today's hunt was over, instinct told me something was still out there. I hunted the area quietly, watching every shadow. That familiar sound gave it away, the snuffling and rooting in the dirt. There it was. The boar was face to face with me, closing in with terrifying force. I moved fast, chambered around, and squeezed off shots. Bullets tore the air, but it kept coming. I stepped back. My gun and my resolve did not. Boom! The final shot rang out, putting an end to its life, and closing out today's hunt. Wild boars, the rulers of the deep forest, with their muscular bodies, dagger-like tusks, and terrifying wild instincts. A mature male can weigh over 400 pounds, making it a nightmare for anyone brave enough to face it. Today, we, the seasoned hunters, venture deep into the dense woods, armed with experience, grit, and a fierce determination to confront this giant creature. The showdown begins between man and the true predator of the wild forest. Arriving at the hunting spot quite early, my friends and I gathered to review the plan for today's hunt. With our trusted rifles in hand, each of us moved to our designated positions. We had only gone a short way into the dense forest when a strange sound suddenly broke the silence. All attention shifted to the sound of footsteps and a strong, familiar scent. There it was, the wild boar charging ahead. Reflexes took over, and a decisive shot sealed the fate of the destruction that was about to unfold. sun was rising high, and deep in the forest, thanks to our careful preparation, the hunters were strategically positioned, scattered across key spots at varying elevations, forming a tightly knit ambush. Perfectly concealed in the wilderness, we were all just waiting for the target to fall within our sights. And just as planned, the moment a boar appeared within any hunter's shooting range, the rifle immediately fired. Within less than 10 minutes, several more wild boars were brought down, marking a crucial success in this hunt. Still holding my position, I quickly pivoted the rifle to another direction. The wild boars here were overwhelming. Every few minutes, more kept appearing, causing the entire forest to come alive with chaotic sounds. However, taking them down was no easy task. It took almost a minute of continuous gunfire before we managed to bring down a few. The rest, quick-footed as ever, managed to flee into the deep woods, vanishing in the swirling dust. I left my position and followed the remaining trail. It didn't take long before I spotted the familiar figure. It was skillfully weaving through the trees, trying to avoid being seen. But with my modern binoculars in hand, nothing could escape my gaze. The shot was quick, powerful, and precise. The threat was neutralized just in time, before this place could suffer any further damage. As the sunset slowly faded, my steps continued to follow the trail of the prey, when suddenly, the sound of hunting dogs echoed, growing louder with each passing moment. The tension immediately enveloped me. Instinctively, I raised my rifle, scanning the trees ahead. Boom! The precise shot brought it down instantly, wrapping up the intense pursuit with a swift, clean finish. This area is indeed a prime spot for wild boar hunting, as they frequently appear here. Just a few minutes later, the successful conclusion of our hunt replayed itself, and we added more valuable trophies to our today's adventure. The hunt ended with exhaustion, but in exchange, we had trophies to be proud of. However, the density of wild boars is always a major challenge for us. To clear them all out, it will undoubtedly take much more time and effort.
At 4 a.m., while the entire city still lay wrapped in sleep, we were already deep in the western forest. This wasn't a casual stroll. This was a mission. Beneath these leafy canopies lurks an uninvited enemy, relentlessly ravaging the hard work of farmers, turning lush green fields into battlegrounds. Today, we set out to answer their silent cries, their weary sighs. Will peace ever return to this land? Come with us and find out. As dawn broke, the mountainside became our first battleground. And we didn't have to wait long. At 6:15 a.m., right at the forest's edge, our target appeared exactly as predicted. My first shot struck its shoulder. It immediately changed course, trying to flee up the hillside. But the second shot gave it no chance. It collapsed, forever lying on the land it never belonged to. Mission accomplished. What do you think? Was that shot a masterpiece? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let us know. We pressed deeper along the narrow trail leading into the fields. The target appeared, completely unaware it was stepping into death's crosshairs. The bullet struck the vital spot, ending the threat in an instant. A single shot echoed through the air, guarding the harvest and keeping the fields forever green. They think speed means escape. They're wrong. Watching it charge like a runaway car, I didn't rush. I waited for it to step into the perfect trap. Boom. Game over. The bullet stopped it dead in its tracks. Forever, at the edge of life and death. Only the fastest gets to write the final chapter. I spotted it limping from a distance. I knew this prey would be an easy catch. I gave it a warning shot. It chose to run. The second shot sent it tumbling like a puppet with its strings cut. In a life or death battle, the slowest becomes dinner. After a midday break, we moved down to the plains where tougher, craftier targets lurk, masters of hiding who demand the teamwork of an entire hunting squad. From the watchtower, my teammate David wasn't just observing the beast, he was guarding the peace of this land. When the intruder appeared, there was no hesitation. One decisive shot pinned it down. It fell, and the threat was eliminated. No second bullet needed. One was enough. A clear message. There's no place here for destroyers like the wild boar. When the barking echoed right beside the bushes, they knew the moment had arrived. Just as planned, the strong wild boar was driven out by the pack of hunting dogs from deep within the thicket and willingly walked straight into death's waiting arms. One clean shot ended the flawless teamwork. It looked for a place to hide, but I found a place where it would lie forever. The sun blazed down harsher and hotter than ever. There it was, a heart-pounding chase as the wild boar poured every ounce of strength into fleeing from the relentless pack of hunting dogs. The barking grew louder, signaling the target was racing straight into the trap. The moment it came into sight, I delivered the finishing bullet, ending the chase in an instant. One shot rang out, keeping the field safe and sound. The lush green fields now bear only the scars of destruction caused by rampaging wild boars. Multiplying rapidly, they swarm down, devastating the crops. Upon receiving reports, the hunters immediately set out, determined to halt this destruction. Can they stop the beasts and restore peace to the fields? Follow the thrilling moments ahead to find out. The French grasslands are becoming a hotspot as ferocious beast herds wreak havoc. Thomas's hunting team swiftly moves in, kicking off a thrilling pursuit. Just minutes later, a shooter spots the wild boar herd charging past, seeking refuge in the dense forest on the other side. Without hesitation, he pulls the trigger, and the second boar collapses instantly on the green grass. The rest scatter in panic, hiding before the next shot can ring out. The battle has officially begun. Continuing to track the remaining wild boars, Thomas keenly observed every thicket ahead. Suddenly, a shot from his teammate rang out, and a boar burst forward. Not letting it escape, a decisive shot immediately echoed, cutting off the animal's path to freedom. At another location, the barking of hunting dogs signaled the prey's position. The shooter immediately rushed forward, ready to engage. At that moment, a wild boar charged across his line of sight. Without a moment's hesitation, a gunshot rang out instantly. The bullet struck directly into the animal's body, causing it to collapse onto the thick grass, unable to escape. At the same time, a night hunt was unfolding in the Texas fields. Kevin's team had arrived early, surrounding an area suspected of harboring wild boar tracks. At the edge of the field, through binoculars, a shooter spotted the boar herd charging down, wreaking havoc. Unable to stand by any longer, gunfire erupted in rapid succession. Several boars were taken down on the spot, their bodies scattered across the field, with only a few managing to escape into the thickets. At the eastern edge of the field, the 3 remaining wild boars were trying to slip away, but they couldn't evade Jack's infrared scope. Without a second's hesitation, the next series of shots rang out, swift, clean, and precise. They collapsed on the spot, unable to escape, leaving only their scattered remains across the field. Another threat was eradicated. The radio crackled with signals pinpointing the locations of other wild boar herds. Kevin and his team swiftly moved in. The boars were busy grazing, unaware of the ambush awaiting them. Without delay, gunfire erupted, sweeping through the beasts in rapid bursts, leaving them no chance to escape. The Texas field was now littered with the remains of the destructive pests. Peace had been restored. Hunting wild boars is a swift way to protect crops, revive the economy, and maintain the balance between humans and nature. However, all activities must comply with the law while ensuring absolute safety for the shooters throughout the process of controlling wildlife populations.
Unbelievable! A terrifying scene unfolding across America. Fields and crops vanish overnight. None other than wild boars. In an effort to protect the peace of the villages, skilled hunters have set out on a noble mission to push back the threat of wild boars ravaging the farmlands. This hunt is not just a battle, but an intense journey to safeguard the fruits of the farmer's labor. To prepare for today's hunt, the hunters are outfitting themselves with state-of-the-art tools, from powerful rifles, high-tech binoculars, to suppressors to maintain the secrecy of their positions, all for the safety and tranquility of the village. Follow them closely. Witness the breathtaking moments and the unpredictable action. Will they succeed? Stay tuned to find out. Kevin's team marches toward the field, the first location of the day. They quickly disperse, each taking their designated ambush positions. The entire team remains silent, waiting. About 10 minutes later, from the east, Jay spots a group of wild boars. They're entering the area, starting to root and destroy the crops. Jay raises his rifle, locking onto the lead boar, the largest one in the herd. Boom! The beast is hit, but still tries to escape. The rest of the boars panic, scattering wildly into the thick bushes, disappearing from sight. Undeterred, Kevin quickly targets a lone boar that's fallen behind the group. A sharp shot rings out, shattering the silence. The boar drops instantly. The first victory fuels the team's momentum.
Yapıştır.
On the other side, Jay is silently closing in on a wild boar hiding among the bushes. James, stationed at the roadblock, moves quietly, holding his breath as he crouches behind a patch of grass. Suddenly, a large shadow bursts out from the underbrush. The wild boar charges straight toward the field. Without hesitation, James pulls the trigger. The sound of the gunshot echoes. The wild boar collapses instantly, unable to cause any more damage. One shot, one decisive blow, saving the entire field. Soon after, the sound of hounds echoed from afar, signaling the appearance of the target. James and his team quickly pinpoint the sound, moving to a strategic position for a clear shot. A large shadow emerges from a distance. The wild boar is moving slowly toward the field. James, with his vast experience, doesn't rush. He waits, carefully lining up his shot on the boar's head. Boom! The shot rings out sharply. The wild boar collapses onto the cold earth, unable to react. The threat has been neutralized before it could cause any harm. This isn't just a game, it's a duty to protect the livelihoods of the people, and the battle is far from over. After taking a break to recover, the team moves westward toward a dense thicket, the perfect hiding spot for the wild boars. From a distance, they can hear the hounds barking, a sound that echoes through the air. Using the trained instincts of a seasoned hunter, Kevin quickly takes his position. Sure enough, a massive wild boar suddenly bursts out of the bushes, charging toward Kevin at full speed. Without a second's hesitation, he squeezes the trigger. The boar collapses, barely a meter away from him. If he'd hesitated for even a split second, Kevin might not be standing here now. What do you think of this intense face-to-face showdown? Drop a comment below and let us know. A moment later, the sound of hounds suddenly echoed from the trail, signaling the target's presence. James and his team rushed forward, quickly pinpointing the location. They take cover behind thick bushes, rifles aimed forward. The atmosphere becomes tense. A wild boar appears. Without hesitation, James squeezes the trigger. The sharp crack of the shot fills the air. The boar collapses, unable to take another step. A danger has been eliminated. The perfect coordination between the hunting dogs and the hunter's precise shooting skills forms the solid step toward protecting this year's harvest. The hunt has become exhausting. The team is preparing to pack up and rest. A moment of silence envelops the forest, only to be shattered by the urgent barking of the hounds. A clear signal. This is the final target of the day. Danger lurks. Brutal wild boar hunt. The once fertile, lush land now bears only the scars of devastation caused by wild boars. They have mercilessly ravaged this place, leaving lasting trauma for the locals and causing millions of dollars in damage. Will these monstrous beasts be eradicated? Can the hunters stop them in time before it's too late? Follow along for the thrilling hunt scenes coming up next. On the rich, fertile soil of Picardy, a pack of ferocious beasts was stealthily wreaking havoc on everything in sight. As soon as the report came in, John's team was on the scene early, swiftly moving into ambush positions, ready and waiting. Before long, one member spotted a wild boar quietly rummaging for food in the verdant meadow, oblivious to the eyes watching its every step. He quickly readied his rifle, took precise aim, and fired. The bullet hit its mark, and the beast dropped instantly, unaware of its fate. With one clean, accurate shot, the rampage of this savage creature was decisively stopped. At the same moment, in another part of the field, a wild boar dashed across Jack's line of sight. It drew closer and closer to his aim. Seizing the moment, he swiftly fired, bringing down the prey. The bullet struck, and the boar collapsed before it could escape. Another threat was eliminated. A perfectly orchestrated ambush was unfolding at the edge of the field, where the savage beasts often hid when spotted. This time, John was tasked with holding the choke point, determined to let none escape. It wasn't long before his teammate's signal rang out. A wild boar appeared, charging swiftly through John's line of sight. Almost simultaneously, the crack of his rifle echoed with precision. Each shot felled a beast, none able to flee. That shot not only took down the marauder, but also saved the crops, restoring peace to the fertile fields of Picardy. In the towering grass, a sudden counterattack by a wild boar made our hearts race. This hunt belonged to Thomas's team. They were already on the scene, tracking the faint traces left by the wild beasts. A rustling sound broke the silence, and Thomas swiftly turned toward the voice. A wild boar emerged from the dense undergrowth. Without warning, it charged, aiming to attack Thomas. A gunshot rang out instantly, halting the beast's dangerous assault. One must admire Thomas's composure. Had he hesitated for even a second, the one lying in the grass might not have been the boar. At the same moment, Thomas's teammates swiftly spotted a target in the deep grass within the nearby forest. The wild boar moved sluggishly, concealed among the thick blades, but it couldn't evade the hunter's scope. Taking position, he selected the perfect angle for the shot. The bullet was fired, and the boar collapsed onto the green grass. Another threat neutralized, another location secured. Thickets and fields have borne witness to heart-stopping trigger pulls.
The cunning wild boars not only devastate crops, but also expertly conceal themselves in treacherous terrain, challenging even seasoned hunters. To confront them, sharpshooters must prepare meticulously and engage in a relentless battle. Will they succeed in halting the advance of these destructive pests? Join us to witness the thrilling pursuits and ambushes that follow. And don't forget to pick the hunt that impresses you the most. A perfect ambush unfolds with gripping tension in the dense forest. Thomas, stationed in his pre-designated hiding spot, keenly observes every movement around him. Suddenly, a herd of wild boars lumbers into his line of sight. Without hesitation, a rapid burst of gunfire erupts, taking down the two fattest beasts. The rest scatter swiftly into the deep woods. Undeterred, Thomas gears up for the next pursuit, determined to ensure none escape to wreak further havoc. Venturing deeper into the forest, Thomas spots the silhouette of a panicked wild boar fleeing. Aligning his aim with the target's frantic path, he pulls the trigger. The shot rings out instantly, and the beast collapses unaware. A precise, decisive strike, eliminating yet another threat to this land. At another location, the chase reaches its fever pitch. From his hiding spot, the sharpshooter quickly spots two wild boars charging toward him. He swiftly assumes a ready stance, aligning his aim with the prey's movement. A gunshot cracks, dropping one boar instantly. Determined not to let the other escape easily, he signals the blockade position below. In less than a minute, another shot echoes through the forest, and the final threat is neutralized, putting an end to the devastation caused by these savage beasts. Leaving the dense forest behind, we move to the thickly wooded hillside where the savage beasts are hiding. Nick's hunting team arrived early, deploying a tight encirclement around the hill, determined to let none escape. Just minutes later, a gunshot rings out from James' position, the precise moment a boar emerges from the thick underbrush. A perfect shot hits its mark, and the beast collapses on the spot, unable to take another step. At the same moment, a wild boar suddenly appears in Nick's line of sight. A rapid volley of gunshots rings out, finally halting the beast's charge. A split-second delay could have let escape. Thanks to that decisive strike, this land is spared another threat. On the hillside now, Nick's team is primed for the next confrontation. Nick is assigned to the blockade position. Gunshots ring out relentlessly from the upper positions as the cunning wild boar weaves through the thick underbrush, dodging a barrage of bullets. Yet, with a seasoned skill and steely resolve, Nick successfully cuts off the beast's escape route.
In just 1 week, they ravaged it brazenly in broad daylight, moving in packs that only grew larger. Farmers no longer dared to plant new crops. Now, Thomas and his hunting team are setting up an ambush, using the terrain and the creature's movement patterns to their advantage. But this isn't just any hunt, it's a battle to reclaim their land. Will their strategy be enough to stop the destruction? The answer lies just ahead. At first light, the team quietly stepped onto the field where the havoc was being wreaked. The hunting dogs were released, quickly picking up the scent. Alarm barks echoed through the air, and Thomas and his team immediately braced themselves for the no-holds-barred battle ahead. Oh my god! A fierce wild boar charged straight at them. Without hesitation, gunshots rang out. Precise shots swiftly took down the rampaging beast. It was a lightning-fast takedown, showcasing the team's seamless coordination and seasoned expertise. Moving deeper into the field, Thomas's eyes silently scanned for the next target. A dark shape was quietly grazing, completely unaware it was being watched. Thomas quickly found the perfect position, lined up his shot. In a flash, the trigger was squeezed. One single bullet was all it took. The beast dropped right on the spot. A swift, clean, and decisive strike, stopping yet another threat to the field. At the western edge of the field, the shadow of a beast appeared, gearing up for its final rampage. But today, luck was not on its side. Jay was waiting. The relentless crack of gunfire followed it closely, each shot hitting its mark. Within seconds, the beast lay motionless, unable to fight back. Another claw stopped, another piece of land protected. As nightfall descended, the real hunt began. At 7 p.m., Thomas's team took their positions, ready for battle under the thick darkness. The infrared binoculars were activated, revealing a clear scene. A herd of wild boars was busily foraging at the edge of the field, completely unaware. Thomas locked onto his target, his finger squeezing the trigger without hesitation. The gunshot rang out, instantly causing chaos. The entire herd panicked and scattered, leaving behind their fallen comrade.
Hey!
Pressing deeper into the heart of the area, their steps grew more cautious than ever. Suddenly, a rustling sound broke the silence, putting Thomas instantly on high alert. He swung his flashlight towards the noise. Oh, there it is! The bullet flew decisively, striking the beast dead on. A fate with no other outcome for the Dark Marauder. A signal sounded nearby, alerting them to the presence of the beast. Thomas immediately moved to the designated spot. Through the infrared binoculars, it wasn't just one, but a whole herd gathered, ready for destruction. Everything was locked in sight. Suddenly, a burst of gunfire erupted, giving them no chance to fight back. Within seconds, the field was littered with fallen beasts. A major threat stopped just in time.